Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 41 of Be With Me. We're going to learn about Stephen today, and I'm going to title this Like the Face of an Angel. And we're going to find out about Stephen in like three phases of his life. One is where he's a free man. Then today, more so, when he's seized. And eventually, the story, we're not going to get there today, is he's going to be stoned. And this is like that transition period from when he's free to when he's seized to when he's stoned. Okay, so here's what's happening. We talked about Jerusalem, and Jerusalem, the balloon is filling up with new believers. And yesterday, even we found that many priests were becoming obedient to the faith. So here we are in Acts chapter 6 and verse 8. And Stephen, full of grace and power, was doing great wonders and signs among the people. Then some of those who belonged to the synagogue of the freemen, as it was called, and of the Syrians, and of the Alexandrians, and of those from Cilicia and Asia, rose up and disputed with Stephen. But they could not withstand the wisdom and the spirit with which he was speaking. Then they secretly instigated men who said, "We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and God." And they stirred up the people and the elders and the scribes, and they came upon him and seized him and brought him before the council. And they set up false witnesses who said, "This man never ceases to speak words against this holy place and the law. For we have heard him say that this Jesus of Nazareth will destroy this place and will change the customs that Moses delivered to us." And then here's the angel part. And gazing at him, all who sat in the council saw that his face was like the face of an angel. All right, a couple of points before we get to the angel part of this. Number one, a dispute doesn't mean wise versus wise disputing. So this dispute goes from wisdom from Stephen's side to sort of underhandedness from the other side. Now, we don't know what Stephen has preached before this, but we kind of get a clue from the way that they're interpreting what he has said. Remember in Acts 5:39, Gamaliel was saying about the apostles that be careful about accusing the apostle because you might find yourself opposing God. And we find that Stephen's wisdom is that they couldn't withstand the wisdom. They couldn't withstand the spirit with which Stephen was speaking. So this is really an otherworldly, wise, imbued person, and we even see it manifested in his face here at the end. But the people, they won't stand for it, and they can't withstand this, and so they do some nasty things. So they secretly instigated, they stir up, they seize, they set up as false witness. They can't say it enough ways that they sort of conspire against this. And they instigate people to false testimony. They accuse him of being blasphemous against Moses and God, which is a capital offense worthy of death. And then they also accuse him of committing a verbal sin against a place. And it's interesting that the location of the Spirit of God is changing now. So this started when Jesus died on the cross and the temple curtain was ripped open. The Holy of Holies was exposed. That is, man has the common man has access into the Holy of Holies, and it also lets God out. And where does God go? He goes via his Spirit into the hearts of all people. And if you're like king of the temple, this is offensive to you. All right, so the things that they accuse him of are kind of true. It's like what the accusations that they made against Jesus, as they make these charges, and the charges that they are accusing Stephen of are very similar to the charges of the same charges that they put against Jesus. All right, so let's get to this angel part. What does the face of an angel look like? Now, in our, pre-Christmas view of angels, it's kind of cherubic and fat, well-fed, flying around, non-threatening, or maybe uh, sometimes in movies, angels are bumbling kind of people. But in the Bible, let's look at what the Bible views as angels. So when you use the word angel, generally, pretty quickly, you're into terrifying. The So I was even just thinking of the Christmas story. So when Mary saw an angel, so Mary's on the right team. She's on God's team, and she was greatly troubled. And the angel needed to tell her not to be afraid, that she had found favor. Well, when Zechariah was in the temple and he saw an angel, he was troubled as well. And the shepherds, they were filled with fear. The translation is actually mega fear. So it's extremely common when people to see angels and the presence of God to realize that we are mortal and this angel is immortal, and it is an awesome, in a sort of terrifying, awesome sort of way. So much so that the angels most of the time have to say, at least to the people that are on God's team, they say, don't be afraid. Now, these guys are against God, and they probably do have to be afraid. And I think just the comfort of, so we see in Stephen making this transition from being a free man to preaching and being full of faith and full of grace and power to doing great wonders and sign, respected by his people, full of wisdom, full of the Spirit. And now we find him on his way to being stoned, which is how this all ends. And we find, I think, a special presence of God as he enters this hour. I think this literally is his final hour, final 30 minutes, as he becomes a witness and a martyr, a witness to the point of death. It's the ultimate witness, and I think he's getting the ultimate presence of the Holy Spirit. So he's full of grace, full of power, full of wonders, and here we find he's full of the presence of God to do the job that he needs to do. So that's why I think he's glowing like an angel, the face of an angel, because God's with him in a special way. May he be with you in a special way too today, if you need it. Thanks for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.